Jamie was just 11 years old when he first came into contact with the police. He ran away from home.
I was in foster care very young, I can't remember, before I was 10 years old, me and my sisters. And then we were moved away from where we were living in a nice little Peak District town called Matlock. And we moved to Derby, and I didn't like it.
For the most part, Jamie had a happy childhood. But after the move, that happiness changed. He started to feel angry, frustrated, antagonistic. With no language to articulate the way he felt, it came out in other ways.
I became very resentful, I didn't know I was resentful at 11 years old, but I became a very angry child. I became abusive and aggressive around the home. I started truanting from school, had trouble making friends, but maybe that was down to the way I was behaving. And I first got arrested whilst I was truanting from school. Stole a pair of trainers from a department store. And I think the reason I did that was to try and fit in with everybody at the school, because I'm not from a well-off family by any means, probably poor family, to be fair.
The move had a huge effect on Jamie, being the new kid in a strange city, trying to impress and keep up with his peers. He was angry and resentful, but he was also 13 years old and had never been taught how to express his thoughts and feelings to those around him.
I've got a family that we didn't talk about feelings and emotions and what was going on for us. It was very much what goes on behind this front door sort of stays. We don't tell anyone else our problems, so to speak. I guess that way of being brought up, it's not healthy.
In the years that followed, Jamie's behaviour got worse. He continued to be aggressive at home and bunked off school. He started hanging out with older lads, smoking weed, loitering, and eventually he found his way to alcohol.
I had my first drink of alcohol when I was 13. I liked it so much that I carried on drinking for the next 22 years, drinking severely as well. I'd do anything to get a drink.
It wasn't long before Jamie was thrown out of home. 16 years old, with no qualifications and nowhere to go. He ended up in a shared house. Just shy of his 17th birthday, things got worse.
The place I was staying when I was thrown out of home was a shared house with a charity organisation, and due to my behaviour, down to my drinking, they had to evict me, and I had nowhere to live. And I can't quite remember what I did or where I went, but I can remember being remanded into a young offender institution when I was, I think I was 16, not far from my 17th birthday. I spent the weekend on remand.
When other kids at his school were learning to drive, preparing for college or getting their first jobs, Jamie was sharing a cell with a stranger.
This guy I was with, he seemed a very seasoned person because he was just taking it all in his stride. But I sat in my cell and I cried all weekend. I didn't go out for my food. I didn't do anything. I just wished I wasn't there, and I would do anything not to return. I got bail on the Tuesday, and I was bailed to a hostel. And the people that were in the hostel were, I don't know how to describe them really. They had their own issues, and they were dealing with them issues by smoking heroin. So for me to fit in with these people, I thought the best way to do that would be to start smoking heroin with them. So that's what I did. 17 years old, no qualifications, no family support, and I made a choice to smoke heroin. It didn't take me long to get addicted, and before long I was burgling people's houses to fund mine and others' addiction. I went on a crime wave in Derby for about 3 months, And then I was thankfully, I was arrested for some of these burglaries and I was sent to prison.
Jamie's sentence was 2.5 years. He served 17 months. That was the first time he'd been in prison for more than a weekend.
Now that was completely strange I'd been on remand for a weekend, but actually being sentenced knowing that I was going to have to be there for 17 months was quite daunting. But I guess when you're that age you sort of brush it off, and well, I did, because I got through it. My family started writing to me and sending me money, and I had a job in the Young Offenders Institution, and I just sort of waltzed through it, really. Paid my penance to society, so to speak, and got out 17 months later.
After just 3 months, however, Jamie was back in prison for drug and alcohol-related burglaries. He was 19 years old.
And this time I served 15 months of a 2.5-year sentence. And I still had some family involvement, some friends writing to me, people sending bits of cash in here and there. So, life didn't seem too bad. I was still really, sounds strange to say that, but I saw it as all a part of growing up, a rite of passage, so to speak. But none of the people I went to school with when I was younger ended up going to prison twice before they were 20, as a rite of passage.